Good morning, campers, and welcome back to Lotus Operations. And in today's video, I'm going to teach you how you can use a simple piece of plastic to make a part for your weapons. Okay, guys, welcome back. And today's weapon we are going to be talking about will be the AR-15, the scary rifle that everyone is so-called scared about because they think it's so much worse than any other weapon. And the part that we are going to be making for this from a simple piece of plastic that you can mold with heat. And as you can see it being dried, it's extremely strong. But when it's not in a large piece, and you'll see later on in the video, it's actually extremely flimsy, that we are able to mold this to adapt this to our rifles to be able to make our rifles a lot more efficient if you like this type of accessory and stuff like that. Now, with me making this part here, this is only for a survival situation. So no, this will not work as well as the parts you can buy for this, and all these parts are legal. But the fact is that you may not have $40 to $60 on hand, because that's what this freaking part cost. And I'll leave a picture of it up in the screen. But you can make this for basically nothing if you have the resources. Now, if you don't have the electricity, you can do this over a traditional fire, but you're going to have to be careful because you cannot control the heat the same way as you can with a heat gun. So let's begin crafting this part for the AR-15, and let me show you what I'm going to be making. And if I remember correctly, it's called the bad lever. Okay, guys, and this is the part that I'm talking about, how you can see that it is flimsy, all nice and straight. And this is literally about an 1/8 inch thick piece of plastic. I don't know what type of exact plastic it is. This is more, I don't think it's like PVC. This is like divider type of plastic. It's not acrylic, but acrylic will also work for this. But then when you bend it and stuff like that, you can see it's becoming more rigid, to where you can see me trying to compress this. It's not going to move the same. So therefore, you're going to be able to heat this up around your gun to connect it to, not your magazine release button, but to your slide release button, and be able to create your very own bad lever that you can use so you can be able to chamber your rounds for sport shooting, hunting, whatever you want to do, or survival situations if you need to keep your eye through the scope. And from one side, instead of having to move your hand up to the other side. So let's cut this into a nice skinny strip along this way, and then be able to heat it up around the gun. I need something better. Okay, guys, so as you can see, I have the line drawn out for the thickness that I want it. Now, when you're making yours, you don't have to make it extremely wide, okay? Because the normal ones are not that wide, but of course they're made out of metal. So if you have a long piece of plastic, you can do trial and error for different thicknesses. But I'm doing mine at least a little under 1/2 inch in thickness. Actually, a little 1/4 inch, about a 1/4 inch in thickness, because that should be plenty strong enough, because you're not needing a ton of pressure on it. You're just tapping a button to release the slide rail in a way. And so you only need just a little bit of strength to be able to just tap it shut. So we are going to cut this strip out, and then we are going to heat it up. So let me do that. And as you can see, this is the strip that we are going to be bending around the gun to make it, hook it up to the lever. So let's begin that process. Okay, guys, so here we are. This is the button that we are going to be attaching this to. Now, we cannot block the space here, because you need you need just enough space so you won't be able to have, if I can get this thing clear. So you want to be able to have the space to where you can still be able to maneuver this back and forth. So, but you need to find a way to attach this to here, and it's going to go around the gun and come out the other side like this. So you can be able to tap it, and it can be able to just be able to rechamber your rounds when you reload your magazines. So first, get this, mark your line. So get this here, mark your line where you want it to be. The pen does not draw on this, so we have to carve it in. Then you're going to heat it, and then you're going to mark your second line where you want it bent at. And take note that this is going to be hot, so you want to wear gloves if it's too hot for you to be able to handle. You're going to bend it at the 45 degree, and you're going to cool it down. And then you have your 45 degree for your first mark. Now we're going to go measure our second angle. Now you can see that this thing is literally going to sit here and go through like this. Now you want it to come down here, and you're going to figure out how far out you want it. Now that is up to your comfort level, okay? So now these cannot sit exactly up 90 degrees, as you can see, because of the thing. So if you want to, and I'm gonna do this, I'm actually gonna heat it up, and I'm gonna angle it slightly over so this can sit flatter up here in reality and not be bumping against the curve section. And now, as you can see, it has a very slight curve. So what we're going to do is I'm going to figure out how far over I want it, and then I'm going to cut it and then bend it down this way to create the button to be able to. Okay, so now we have the curve. I had to keep modifying the curve to make it a little bit more curved to bend better around the gun. Now that's going to take some time because everyone's going to have a different design they want. So once you get that modified, then you cut the length that you want, and you're only going to mark 2 lines, okay? If you can see them, it's kind of hard right there. There we go. You're going to cut on your bottom line because your top line is where you're going to bend it at. So don't cut your top line because then it's going to be too short. Now we heat the bottom, bend the bottom at a 45 degree angle, and then let's figure out a way to attach it. And there we go. Now, as you can see, we have our homemade bad button in a way to where we can just, okay? So now let's figure out a way to attach this to the gun and then test and see how well it works, and then we'll create a finished product. Okay, guys, so since the metal did not work, what I found, and we're really playing with a lot of really small space until we can figure out something that will adhere it better. Like, since we are building this from scratch, either I'm going to use freaking safety wire, ultra thin safety wire. That would be this stuff here, but this is a little too thick. I mean, it would work going around it. It would work in theory, but until I get my finished product, I really don't want to put this on there at the moment. Now, if you do use safety wire, you need to put Teflon tape around the handle first to help prevent corrosion issues. But what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to use some string here, and we are going to tie it down with ourselves, and we are going to use the string to adhere it to the thing. So let's begin that process. Now, in a fallout situation, it doesn't matter if it looks pretty. It doesn't have to look pretty, okay? It just needs to be functional. What the? Come on. Let's go. It does not have to be pretty. It just needs to work. But of course, I know a lot of people are like, oh, I don't want mine to look extremely pretty. Extremely works. But does it work? That's what I'm looking for now. Then I go with prettiness later. Now I would use zip ties to it, but none of my zip ties are skinny enough to where they're not going to interfere with the releasing of the chamber. So therefore, I'm going to have to get the ultra thin zip ties to be able to do it. But, like I say, I'm teaching you for when shit hits the fan, you're not going to have access to all this stuff to be able to make it nice and pretty. So if you want it nice and pretty, you need to make it now. Okay, so let's test it out. So, here's the ideal here. Chamber's back because there is no ammo in. As you can see, there's no rounds in here. And then we tap it, and it's not working because it is too ultra thin. Okay, guys, so as you saw, like, even though we had everything as it was and it seemed like it was going to be strong enough to maneuver and stuff like that, it was still a little bit too weak along the long section of the device that I'm trying to make. So I'm going to find a way to stiffen this up because this is the section that bent because it just, this part is fine because it's straight. You're pushing straight on it, but it's this section here. So if I can find a way to reinforce this small section up to the gun, whether on the outside or the inside, in theory, it should make it a lot better to where it's going to work. And if it fails again, then I can see why they go with just metal only. So we're going to get back. We're going to stiffen it up with some wire, and then we're going to JB weld it to the thing, let it dry, and see if it does better. Okay, guys, so in this, I first originally thought about using safety wire, and then I come across a whole bunch of Allen keys. Now, like I said, in a survival situation, you use the resources around you, and if you don't have safety wire, which is strong, but it's still weak because I use it at work, Allen keys are a hell of a lot more stiff and hardened. So here we go. So we're going to take this, and we are going to be putting this onto here and securing it down like this along the chamber and stuff like that. So we're going to safety wire it here and here, and then we're going to retest it back out and see. Okay, so as you can see here, we have this now secured to this, the C. So we are going to now retie this to the gun and see if it actually works a lot better. And okay, guys, remember when I told you that if you're going to have to use safety wire to secure your Fallout style bad trigger device to your gun, you use Teflon, okay? So this is the stuff I'm talking about. You want to create a barrier between your gun and the wire that you're going to use, unless you're not caring about corrosion in the time frame. And you're going to take it and you're going to wrap it around your trigger nice and tight to create a barrier so that the safety wire will not take and damage the gun, and it will create a barrier to protect it. Because I'm thinking that because the string keeps failing, the string is too weak and it's not able to do it. So I'm going to have to do safety wire, even though I really did not want to initially until I have my final product. But let's do this and let's connect this because I know this is going to work. We just need to get it to work. So we're going to get our safety wire pliers. We're going to join this puppy together. We're going to install our, still same design as before. we're gonna get this thing over. Without causing scratches. I mean, now in a survival situation, you're not going to be caring about scratches at the time frame. And we're going to safety wire this puppy together like this. We're going to join this in holy matrimony. Remember guys, when I'm building shit for survival stuff, I don't give up. I don't care if it fails 10, 15, 20 times. Unless there is no possible way of it succeeding, I am not going to give up. Now, we have this here. We have this here. This is hooked like this. Okay guys, here we are. We have our safety wire secured to this, and as you can see, it's still sticking out, and you gotta make sure this is tight like hell. And right now with it closed, you can see that it's actually working decently. The Teflon is gonna protect it. You wanna put plenty back there to protect it from corrosion because different metals will corrode. But let's see if now the test, as you can see, not chambered. Here we go, and ka-chow. So the problem that we found with this was, one, plastic by itself is too weak, so you're gonna need metal stuff here. So we're gonna put epoxy over this, sand it down, smooth it out, make it look pretty. And then two, unfortunately, until we find a better way to secure this to this, it's going, if I wanna utilize this, it's going to have to be safety wired heavy. So this is how you can take, and then you're over here, you got here, you could drop your magazine, bam, bam, congratulations. So, again, here, hands here, so you don't see I'm hitting it here. We can drop our magazine, we can put our magazine in, and then hand here, and drop it. So, of course, you know, you're still gonna have like a weak spot here and there when making it, so you just stiffen it up as necessary. But again, here, no hand, and congratulations. So this is the ideal that I have, so I'm going to stiffen it up with JB Weld, get the finished product. But this is how you can make a basically Fallout style bad trigger or bad handle, however they call it, for your AR-15. So, Lotus Operations out.